Yeah, we were wondering whether the stock market was going to extend its declines, and it looked like we were bouncing around all morning. But this was kind of the signal that everyone was waiting for. They were waiting for President Trump to back off of his tariffs. He did that for the countries that are negotiating, and this is something that the administration has been very forthright on. Positing all the different countries that have been coming up and making phone calls and trying to reach out to speak with the administration about some kind of negotiations, even though it's not clear what exactly would move the Trump administration to remove or mitigate some of those tariffs. What's notable here is President Trump's comments about, encouraging people to buy the stock market. I wonder to what extent he's trying to call the market bottom in the similar way that President Obama did back in March of 2009. Obama spoke on March 3rd, and just over a week later, the market hit its low point, and from that point on, moved higher.
We're talking about a social media post here, Scarlett. We don't have an actual piece of paper from the White House. We don't even know exactly what countries qualify as non-retaliatory.
Yeah, good point.
We do have to acknowledge the fluidity here in this market and the stakes after such severe losses. Why should investors have confidence in anything to do with tariffs right now?
I don't know that it's confidence to do with tariffs, but for now, this is a bit of relief. This is a respite from the constant selling and the bad news. On Wall Street, the projections that the U.S. economy would tip into recession have been steadily growing. A lot of people, including Larry Fink of BlackRock, were saying that many company executives were telling him that the economy was already in recession. So it kind of became this default scenario that we were in recession, and it would be only a matter of time before the data backed that up. So this is a break in that bad news story. So far this week, we've seen the bad news really turn to the bond market. Last week was all about the stock market kind of in collapse mode, and it's been a lot more fluid, volatile this week, but the bond market has really taken it on the chin this week, and there's a lot of question marks over whether this is fundamentally driven or technically driven.
I just want to point out for those who have been following the commentary of Bill Ackman in regard to tariffs, who, as Joe reminded us just moments ago, did push for the 90-day pause to begin with, which is what Donald Trump seems to have decided here. He posts simple message on X now, just thank you. Nothing else. So I guess he likes what he's seeing here, just as risk asset investors do. But Scarlett, it's remarkable that we get this news today after we already have learned today about instances of multiple companies making decisions or having to issue guidance that is unclear or pull that guidance because of these tariffs. Delta, of course, not willing to stand by a forecast. We had Bloomberg reporting of Amazon actually pulling orders of inventories on goods coming from China. Already, this is affecting corporate behavior, even if the president has now decided that there will be a pause, at least in some instances.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's difficult for any company to go out there and say very much about how they anticipate the year to shape up when they don't know what's going to happen. At the end of the day, nobody knows anything. And to give firm numbers is just inviting scrutiny and inviting people to knock your stock down when it won't come to fruition. And I think that's pretty much the case. We were speaking with a pharmaceutical analyst who was talking about how this promise by President Trump to impose tariffs on the pharmaceutical industry is, of course, meant to encourage these companies to move their manufacturing back to the U.S. But because their supply chain is so complex and it would take years for them to do so, they're not ready to commit to anything else. They already have a lot of their manufacturing, their high-value manufacturing in the United States, but they are able to bring in a lot of their products from overseas, into their warehouses and work off of their inventory. They probably have a 2-year waiting period where they don't need to do anything and can see how this all shakes out.